There's a lot of factors to think about when painting non-metallic metal, but what if there wasn't? The whole purpose to the fake shiny is to look metallic without actually being metallic, and yes, you can use metallic paints, but personally I just don't dig them. The downfall of this is it's a lot of time and effort for tabletop miniatures, specifically for gaming. Because when you're about 5 feet away, you lose a lot of those subtle details like reflections and bounce lights. But if we can't see it, we don't have to paint it. Because this whole idea is based around simplifying where the highlights go, that's what we need to pay a little bit more attention to. As a main point of focus, we want everybody to kind of look at the face, so obviously. And now I'm going to use the real world light source, which is my Hobby Light by Game Envy, which is above the model. And I'm just going to put a dot to represent where all the big areas of natural reflections happening. These spots are where we're going to push all of the highest highlights to. And everything else is mainly going to be pretty dark, so we have that massive stark contrast. Because I'm not going to be painting anything like bounce lights and reflections, our main port of call here is going to be the contrast. Contrast is already a fairly big deal when you're painting non-metallic metal, but here it really has to be the sole focus. But again, because this is for the tabletop, we don't want to add too many bright spots. We still want a lot of areas to remain pretty dark or give us space to build up to our highlights. With that done, we can look at our recipe. We're going to start off with Terrestrial Titan into Diabolic Plum to Wicked Pink into Ice Yellow. And then between each layer, we're going to have a 50-50 mix of those two sections that touch, and that's going to help us smooth everything out. Oh, stop yapping and just paint the fucking thing.
Alrighty, starting off with Terrestrial Titan, which is going to be our base. Now this is pretty dark. We're also going to leave a little bit of black work in the very deepest recesses, just so we don't have to come back and do it ourselves. And yes, if you've seen one of these videos before, I do usually paint the leg first, but I thought we'd change it up today and go straight for the chesticles. Once we have a solid base coat on there, we're going to create a 50-50 mix of Terrestrial Titan and Diabolic Plum. I can't stress this enough. When I say 50-50 mix, I don't mean a paintbrush full of each color. What we're actually trying to do is create a halfway point between those two colors. Because that's where all our transition and our blending is actually going to come from. Because we're not actually blending on this. There's no glazing, there's no feathering, there's no wet blending. It is just layers. Now we're moving up into Diabolic Plum, and every time we move up a layer, you're going to paint less and less of the previous area you've painted. Kind of like a topographical map, where the deeper recesses you can see because they're darker and on the bottom, and every time you step up, you're going up in brightness as well. So if you remember where we placed the dots here on the chest, you can see that that's where I'm starting to move the highlights towards. Now we're halfway between Diabolic Plum and Wicked Pink, and we're really starting to focus in on where those dots were placed in the very beginning. And for me personally, this is where it starts to come alive a little bit. The whole point of adding Wicked Pink into this recipe is to keep it interesting and saturated. If I was just mixing lighter and lighter between purple and ice yellow to get our highlight tones, it was going to get pretty desaturated pretty quickly. The Wicked Pink really just gives us a midway point of keeping in that saturation and vibrancy. We can also start to think of that Wicked Pink as where we're moving into the highlight phase. Everything I'm painting now, like all the sticky outy bits that didn't have a dot to really kind of pull the focus in, this is actually going to be close to our final highlight. And that's because they weren't picked out to be focal points. We still want to represent that they're shiny, so there's a lot of contrast, but the main focal points are where we're really going to start to build up that highlight. Like right now, it is that partway mix between Wicked Pink and Ice Yellow. And you can see that I'm focusing right on to where those shiny nip should be. Some of the higher sections that are closer to the light are going to get that little extra step of highlight, but for everything else and the pure Ice Yellow, we're going straight back to where those chesticle dots were. And now we're just going to continue those exact same steps in the exact same way across the model, and again pointing all the highlights towards where we put those focal dots in it. And if you're worried because there's bright white dots on there, look, it's going to get enough layers of paint that it's going to be completely covered and it's not going to hurt a thing. And if you're still a little bit concerned about where to put those focal points, or where you're building the highlights up towards, all I can say is follow the light. The majority of light is going to be coming from above, unless you have a weird light source, but don't do that yet. So if you know the light's coming from above, you know that all the highlights and anything that's facing upwards should probably get that highlight. The other thing is, this is still a time-consuming process. Don't get hung up on how long it takes to paint something. It's a weird point that people bring up a lot, and it really isn't overly relevant unless you're on some kind of deadline. Obviously, something like slap chopping or airbrush is going to be quicker, but we're looking at a slightly more advanced technique, and that takes time. The crazy part is, the more you practice something like this, the faster you're going to get at it, and I knocked this whole miniature out in about 3 hours. I probably wouldn't go as far to do a full 2,000 point list with it, but a skirmish sized game with a handful of models, or those few character models that you have in your army, it's very doable. Speed and proficiency is fine, but to get there you really need the experience first. So for now, just enjoy it. Looks pretty schmick for something that wasn't blended, doesn't it? And before you ask, this absolutely does apply to just about any other colour you can think of. Even something weird like brown and yellow, you end up with gold. But to keep with that cyberpunk synthwave feel, we're going in with some turquoises. Using those exact same steps that we did with the purple armour, I'm going to start off with scarab green, deep azure, turquoise siren, and ice yellow. And we're going to think about it in the exact same way, so all those sticky, outy, pointy, uppy bits, that's where we're going to highlight towards. And then because between those 4 paints is a fairly stark jump, we're also going to be doing those 50-50 mixes. Because all we want here is contrast. Contrast between the dark and the light, the deepest shadow and the most brilliant of highlights. Again, because the whole idea of this is specifically for tabletop gaming, where you're not going to see a lot of those nuanced details, we don't need to paint those nuanced details, we can just work on the big things that are at play. We don't need bounce lights, we don't need reflections, and we don't need smoothness. But one of the cool things about this technique is after you get here, you actually can go back and spend some time if you do want to take it to that next level. Glazing out and smoothing those transitions, you could take this to a display level pretty quickly. If you made it this far into the video, thank you for turning up once again. Consider hitting that like and subscribe. A massive thank you to InGames, the Army Painter, and to all of our awesome Patreons that keep us going every single week. Big love, you filthy animals.